Hello, good evening, and welcome to PM Express. This evening, I have a special guest on the show. It's a season of Christmas, merrymaking, and I guess I'm not sure whether he is making merry for himself or because there's a bigger picture also that is playing out at the national level with the party itself that he must, as a leader, be concerned about. It is the minority chief whip, Muntaka Mubarak, who is again returning to Parliament as a MP for Asawase in Ashanti region. The thing about having him is that he is going to be part of this next Parliament, which is poised to be one of the most exciting we probably have in our history. And he is, seeing that he's already a leader in this Parliament that is about to expire, I'm curious to know what his aspirations are for the new Parliament and what his thoughts are on how this Parliament can work in this new, very novel nature that you, the voter, had decided. And so, very interesting conversation I expect this to be, especially that he's won on the back of some massive controversy still playing out. It might end up in court, who knows. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So you won again.
Yes,
you won again. I had said you will win, but many thought, well, maybe this time may be different. What worked for you again?
Well, let me thank you sincerely for this opportunity, and also thank Almighty God for His mercies. I can tell you it wasn't easy. What really worked for me, I think they pushed me to get the best of me out.
Okay, who did? Your people or MPP?
Yeah, the MPP.
Okay.
Because I can bet you 1 year before the election, the hell started.
Okay.
And, you saw it coming through the registration exercise. Then after registration, preparing for the election, they never gave me a rest. But thank God, sometimes they say when people push you to the wall, then they see your manhood.
Okay.
I think that's exactly what's happened, because I can't imagine that I've served a constituency after 16 years and had to do house to house, door to door. And on the average, you catch a sleep after midnight almost every day. People will meet you and say, you have grown lean, you've grown dark. But thank God, they pushed me, and I believe Allah was merciful and had made us to be more victorious than, truly we expected, because I remember where the party target for Aswanti was 44,000. And we ended up with over 51,000. If you ask me, did you expect this huge win? I must be truthful. What was on my mind was
simply to win.
I might just win. Even if it is by 1 vote, I might just win, because this flex by Woon to me and his cohorts, tell me who didn't come to my constituency. Almost everybody who was passing through Kumasi will have to stop in my constituency to insult me and say one thing or the other. But thank God, the people of Aswanti made their decision very clear and retained me. I'm heavily indebted to them.
Your people kept faith with you.
Yeah.
I remember when we did that show and we're digging into it, it was clear that even in Ashanti region, I don't know where you got that power from, but your facilitation role as a member of parliament was super. One of the things we learned, even in areas, typical MPP areas, didn't have as good as roads as you managed to get for your people. And I was surprised when I learned that. But how is he managing to do this in a stronghold? How is he managing to pull the resource? Where is he getting that from? How did you manage that?
Let me admit that I didn't come to Parliament planned. I've said this a number of times, where people plan that, I want to go to Parliament 2024, and then they start trying to pull the string. I came to Parliament by accident. If you remember, through that by-election, someone comes to Parliament in January, dies in February.
And a good friend of yours.
Yes.
You were his,
was
he your campaign manager? Yes.
And then all of a sudden, unplanned, you have to jump in and you agree with your party that, it will be a one-term thing, so you look for candidates. And only to realize that, it's a very good opportunity to really serve if you truly want to serve. So I took that aspect more seriously. And I can bet you, even during President Kufuor, a lot of ministers will tell you, I had a lot of fight with K.T. Hamo when he was Deputy Minister for Energy because I wanted one community to get lights. You won't believe it. When I became a member of Parliament, in Kumasi, we had communities that didn't have electricity in my constituency. And I was fighting to get it.
Is really the heart.
Really in the heart of Kumasi. And so I kept that kind of focus. My focus was to make sure that my people were interested in going to school. I had to change the educational infrastructure. I need to try and get the general infrastructure, the drainage system, a lot of things. So it didn't come easy, but truly, what really helped me most was when I became government whip. If I sit and I look back, yes, I had started a lot of things had started happening, but when I became government whip, it became one of my biggest tools. And I want to admit, and all the ministers, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will remember my fight with ministers every now and then, to the extent that no minister wants to have a fight with me. Rather than, if I want 10, he would rather give me 3 down for us to fight and get to the president. Because I will insist that, look, you can't treat Aswansi this way. You will continue to be the heartbeat of NDC in the region. And you can, admittedly, I was not only fighting for only Aswansi too. If you go to Konongo Zongo, if you go to Swami Kotoko, if you go to Chafo Zongo, a lot of the places that I knew were NDC based, I was equally fighting to make sure that their drainage system and a lot of other things were happening. So I must thank God that when I became government whip, I kept the focus. And truly, truly, that did the magic. That really did the magic. Because I remember as government whip, there was a time 6 contractors were working at different parts of my constituency at the time. Yes, and one of the major challenges of contractors or where to get gravel. And I believe Yamo Ponko will attest to this, that even as a member of parliament, I would drive to Ejuso to see the municipal chief executive because some chiefs will not allow some gravel to be collected in some part of the municipal for him to accompany him to see the chiefs. Just to help a contractor. I was like, what had that got to do with a member of parliament? Because the contractor is saying that I'm struggling to get gravel. And where have you found one? Oh, I found one, but the chiefs are refusing. So can we go and see the chief executive? Can we go and see the chiefs? What is it? Can we help overcome the challenge? And I also remember Obama, the chief executive then for Wabieja. We also attest to this fact. When the citizens will not allow gravels and to be moved from that end, how to intervene. Usually, contractors will do their work. Certificates is a problem. Thanks to Atufosun. Just drag Atufosun to this office. Master, why? This certificate has been lying there for this long, has not been paid. You must get this contract because he's doing something my concern. So it's like you follow through who is awarded the contract, get in touch with him. When are you mobilizing? What challenges do you have? Within the communities where there are challenges, I put the community leaders together. What can we do together to help this contractor to overcome this challenge? So it was a multiple of things. The communities also were very supportive. And thank God, by the time it was 2016, a lot had been done in Aswansi. And they continue to show gratitude.
So this is going to be your 4th?
My 5th term.
Your 5th term, okay. You know what they say, you have to leave the scene when the applause is loudest.
Yeah.
How long are you willing to go for?
The greatest wisdom for every politician is when to quit.
Yeah.
So that you don't quit too early and you don't quit too late. This wisdom is something that you have to constantly be seeking from God. Believe me, I thought that if His Excellency John Dramani had won the 2016 election, I would have quitted with him.
Okay.
Plan.
So you would have contested.
I wouldn't have contested
this elections. Okay.
Then he lost. Then you are one of the kingpins, chief whip. Minority chief whip. Virtually holding a constituency that is a heartbeat. How do you abandon this in the middle of this fight? How is it going to be understood by the party hierarchy? You serve on FEC, you serve on national executive. You attend political committee meeting, almost all the key meetings. How is it going to sit? So it was going to be difficult to quit. Well, we are battling it. You don't know how it's going to end up. In an unlikely event, it ends the way it is. How do you quit? So it's like you are, because of the role you play, it becomes difficult for you. That's why I keep saying that you keep seeking God's guidance to quit at the right time. ordinarily, one would say this is the biggest win I've ever had since all my contests. I mean, even my by-election, we thought the biggest was 2012 when I shot from, I think, about 37 to 43,000. We thought that was the biggest, especially when 2016 it dipped. Then this became the biggest. Could this be the biggest I could ever have? Or maybe it's still ahead of me? I can't tell. So it is too early in the day to be able to tell whether you've had enough. I mean, because sometimes I keep telling my people, you can look at the constituency from two perspectives. Your selfish end, you as a person, and I always call that selfish, and then the community. Depending on the role that I'm made to play into the next parliament, will it be wise to abandon your people in the middle? Or you think that it's the time to bring in somebody and say that, oh, look, can you continue from where?
Are you grooming somebody?
I'm grooming
just as
so many people.
The man who you
I'm grooming so many people. And I sometimes ask for patience from them. Well, I've groomed people that I can tell you where I sit. They are more than qualified to be members of parliament. They understand the
Fasawasi.
Yes, Fasawasi. And yet they continue to support me. They continue to be behind me. And they don't even want the discussion to come up. Okay. That, oh, should I quit? They say, no. They are so, and sometimes I'm beginning to get, uneasy. That, oh, Evans has been solidly behind me. He's finished his school. He's done his master's. He's investing so much into this constituency. For how long can he continue to have the endurance of waiting? Now, through that, you brought in Aisha. Aisha too is coming up. You brought in another. Now you have almost about 10 people
who are potential,
that are all potential
replace you.
Can replace you.
So, I mean, clearly, you have some saying at who replaces you when you step out of the scene.
Not necessarily, because it's a democratic thing.
Yeah.
You may want to appeal to the constituent that, look, I've done my bit, but will you be willing to support Evans, because Evans has this quality?
Yeah.
But the decision to
rest with the delegate. Let me ask you this. I mean, your case is a personal victory, but there's a bigger picture of your party.
Sure.
Which is still a big issue of contest. The presidential level, John Mahama believes at least the process wasn't fair.
Yeah.
He says it's a flawed election. He would not accept it yet until an audit is done. The party has been challenged to go to court.
Yeah.
The party hasn't made a decision in Parliament. What's your view on the minority in this kind of? What's your view?
Well, you see, when people are in a hurry, oh, we'll go to court, and I said, you remember 2012 when MPP went to court? 27 December.
Yeah.
We have up to 30th. Because 21, we have 21 days. So we have up to 30th. But we don't have to hurriedly go to court when you don't put all your facts together.
Do you have the facts? Because
sure
many people say,
sure we do.
You don't have all your pink sheets.
People keep saying, oh, put them out for us to see. Evans, if you've not been to court before, I will excuse you. But if you've been to court before, you know that is suicidal. Because then you are arming your opponent with the answers already. But when the process starts, yeah, you serve them, you get to know what you are asking for so that they can. But it gives you time to be able to put all your facts together. And I can tell you, we have a lot of them. Some of them are shocking, Evans. You know, it's sad that when all of us, I mean, excluding me, because I kept telling our colleagues, contestants, because I was made to speak to all the southern group in Kama, and I spoke to all the northern group in Mekele, and I kept telling them, elections have moved away from where people can just pick ballot box. Elections have moved away from where people can stamp the ballot box. It's moving from the polling station, counting, and collation center. And I had argued and told every candidate, take personal interest in this, who your agent is. And this time around, you had the opportunity to have a counting agent. And I kept insisting, people keep talking about cost. Think about the billboards, the posters, the t-shirts, the sleepless night, all the hell you've gone through. Because for someone to be polling agents from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., probably might have woke up by 5. The person for 12 hours has consistently been on his or her feet. The person is exhausted. Think about changing, giving them a break during the counting. And that's why the law this time makes room for counting in Regulation 37. Take advantage of it. I did in Aswanse. It was very expensive because, I mean, whilst you are supposed to put up 2 agents, in some places I have 5. Because I needed to ensure that I have my counting agent different from my polling agent, so that you don't get people who are exhausted at the tail end, because at the tail end a lot of things could be happening. If somebody is exhausted, it's natural when you are exhausted, you are in a hurry to let go. Oh, whatever it is, finish and let me sign. And then, so people, you will see pink sheet that your own guys have signed, and you just look at the additions. I mean, let me give you one funny one. The whole polling station has, what do you call it, about, I think 50 something registrants. So they sent 60 ballot papers. And about 46 people voted for a particular party. And all they did was to add another 0 and became 460. And yet you get your agent signing. He's exhausted.
That will add to the national tally.
That would definitely, because from 46 to 460, just by adding a 0 to it. Meanwhile, the total sheet that was sent to that police is 60. How could you add that? How could you get an agent
So I hear
to do
you
that?
say part of the problem was a lack of diligence on the part of your colleagues.
To some extent, yes. Especially the collation center. You have a report where candidates left even their collation center.
Candidates themselves?
Yes.
They have a personal stake in the matter.
I have never left my collation center.
But why? Tired or?
And I always say it. If you go home, can you sleep? You don't know what is at stake. You really don't know what's at stake. If you really knew what was at stake, the last thing you do is to leave collation center for anybody. Let me tell you, in my constituency, I have collation counting agent. The top was my former MC for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. My own younger brother, who is a senior lecturer in KNUST, was a top counting agent for me at collation center. And this was the strategy. We will remain at the constituency collation center, but 5 o'clock, you move to the collation center. Don't move an inch. You are going to be there until we come. And these are well educated. I mean, I can tell you these are about the top that guys I can have in my constituency. They were representing His Excellency and myself as the lead persons first, even before the first box arrives. And the instruction is that you will not leave the collation center until everything is over. So by 11 o'clock, we join them, and we don't leave. We stay till the end. Unfortunately, many of our candidates trusted some others to be at the collation center for them. Some visited there and went home. Others came there later.
I've heard that the party itself was a bit slow in the training, timely training of your agents. And I'm told almost a day to the election, you were still training people.
No, a day to the election was deployment. People were deploying because, for example, in the case of Aswanse, Evans knew that he was going to be, because I took them to 6 stages, and I started 2 months before. And I want to believe many of my constituencies, many of the constituencies did same. I started 2 months by first writing the exams. You have to pass an exams because to be an agent in Aswanse. And when we first...
Was this that everybody did?
Yes, we had about 1,400 people writing, and we could only pick 850. Then you do the integrity test, the second leg, to be sure that we can vouch on you. Then it reduced to I think about 720 or so. Then from 720 we start the first training. Through the first training, we dropped some because we realized they could not concentrate, because the work on election day is more about concentration. Since you cannot really concentrate, we can give you another role, but not an agent. To cut a long story short, Aswanse just had 207, in fact 206, because the 7th one was a special voting, 206 polling stations. Technically, all we needed was just about 412. We deployed 641. agents.
You have several duplicates, several redundancies.
Because we apart from the counting agent, we had a number of senior like lecturers and these well guys. DS were and had 85 collation, 85 coordinators. Nobody was coordinating more than 4 polling stations. 85 coordinators, and with backup that if for any reason the branch executives notice that Evans is not paying attention, we simply replace Evans. So we made provision for possibility of replacing you without getting you to finish. So, and I want to believe many did, but also others didn't do that.
Yeah.
Others kept hoping that the constituency executive would deal with it, the constituency executive would deal with it, the constituency executive would deal with it. Until when we met, and I was telling them that take personal interest. By that time, it was just, I think, 3 weeks to election. And I believe many of them, by the time they started picking interest, they couldn't catch up.
Yeah, because of the elaborate processes you put in place. The question is, what has happened has happened.
Yeah.
Do you blame it on, because for example, you talked about the 0 that was added to the...
Yeah.
Would you say this was systematic calculation on the part of maybe EC or the government as alleged to cheat? Or this was down to human error?
It was a deliberate, calculated move by EC. Why am I saying this? Evans personally contested election for the 5th time. I have been the campaign manager for the late Dr. Debo, so at least I've been at Collation Center. This is the 6th time. In fact, Musa Ahmed, before even, I wasn't given a front row, but I was part of the key guys who were also at Collation Center. I was there. If I add that, I've been at Collation Center from the close of election till the next morning for the 7th time.
Yeah.
It is only this year that we notice across the country, the ECs, many of them just come sit, and they are just writing. Oh, what is it? Oh, we are coming. Apparently, they are collating. Collating is not done that way. Collating is done where, and I think your reporters across the country will attest to this. Collating is done where you come, you pick, oh, we are going to start collating. Are we all ready? All the parties, are you ready? Yes. Okay. Polling station number, then you call the polling station.
You call the content.
Then you call the content. Then everybody's checking his or her pink sheet to be sure that that's what they have. Oh, okay, that's correct. So we are done. Then we'll move. Then we'll do that throughout. Then now we'll come and do the summation. Yeah. When I go to my collation center at 11, my agent said, I'd ask, my former MC, very experienced. My younger brother, who is a senior lecturer, I mean, very experienced. They said, we should wait. Then I came and said, this is Monday. Look, are you looking at the time? I thought by now we should start collecting. We are already collecting. I said, what? You cannot be collecting. This is not collecting. It took a fight of 1 hour. I believe your reporters have the video. A fight of 1 hour. The police came. I said, no, look at the law.
I saw that video.
I insisted the regional director had to come. He sent his deputy to come from the region. Insisted that the process cannot move on until they start the collection. And once again, I said, how can you sit and be saying you are collecting? You have to call them this. Then they pick the sheet and show them what to do before the process started. So in after saying the process started, actual collection started in my constituency around 1 a.m.
I watched that. I was up
and
when
this
I saw that
happened in many places where they kept quiet, and all they got to know was when they were preparing the pink sheet and then that we'll finish. They said, no, you can't be finished. So, we are done. Oh, this is the result. We are gone. And usually when they do that, the police or the military will whisk the EC officials away and leaves you with the battle. And many concerns. And for that to happen in many constituencies, I'm convinced that these were calculated and deliberate.
Okay.
That look, you can't beat them at the polling station or at the voting centers because they are late. Try collation. And look, all the mess, 99% of all the mess that we are seeing is at the collation.
So will the party go to court then? And because the protest doesn't change anything, it's only the court that has the power to change. I'll ask him that next. Stay with us on PM Express. And thank you for staying with us. My guest is Sil Muntaka Mubarak. He is currently the Minority Chief Whip. Just before the break, you've laid out your case why you believe this is a systematic cheating that both the EC or, I guess, the incumbent government conspired to do. Go to court.
Yes, but that's not the only avenue.
Protest?
Protest is part of the process.
Protest doesn't change the results.
No, I mean, find out what greases democracy is protest. It draws attention before you get to the court. It tells the world what is happening, so many more people pay attention. So it's part of the process. All I keep saying is that we will act within the confines of the law.
So you have,
yes, we have to act lawfully, and I can bet you, going to court is one of the options.
You said we act lawfully. Have the protests been lawful? We've seen last week, just across, not far from Parliament House, on the Kanda overpass, people just massing up, burning tires, causing traffic. Police had to fire tear gas. That is against the Public Order Act that Parliament passed. That is certainly not lawful.
No, that was very lawful. Apart from the, maybe you say the burning of the tires. Yeah. Check what caused the burning of the tires. The behavior of the security agencies. Yesterday in Kumasi, when we had one, the same thing. You see, you just don't come with hot water and then start spraying.
But that's an unlawful, that's an unlawful gathering.
No, it's not.
Because you have to give the police notice.
No, the law says we should inform you.
But you haven't been informed.
I check.
I mean, I'll talk about Asawase one shortly, but I'm talking about what happened last week here in Accra.
Check.
They didn't inform the police.
They did.
The police said they were not informed.
Oh. I mean,
but this was almost people just sprung up on the streets.
They will say people have not informed them because they want you to write, they will invite you to a meeting. That's not part of the law. The law says I should notify you. So if I write a letter and I come and leave it in your reception, once it's received, I've notified you. And that I can assure you, in all instances were done. And they knew these people were coming out on this day. But you see, this attempt to suppress, it's not useful.
Is there suppression?
Yes.
How?
Oh, you see the brutality. I mean, you fire tear gas, you chase people, you try to hit them. Tear gas
approved use of multiple force when the people are...
No, but that's when the people are acting violently. When the people are protesting peacefully, they are not armed.
But when the people want to break into the EC office...
No, they are not, because you have barricaded the place, and they are standing at a distance. And then all of a sudden, you think that the best is to fire, I mean, live ammunitions, tear gas, hot water, and other things. You don't help our democracy because you see.
So what should the police do? What should the police services do? Watch them? Pelt stones? Stones being pelted?
Let me tell you, all these things, the bender tie, the stone, and all those things starts when the police start misbehaving.
Really?
Yes. I mean, we've gone for, I mean, you and I, we've been in a demonstration where we are going, the police are following, they are not doing anything. And you go to the end and we even thank the police for their cooperation.
But I've also seen
But where you deliberately create a problem by firing unnecessarily.
But I've also seen protests, Mr. Muntaka Mubarak, where the protesters start veering off, the police want to bring them in line. And because they don't like that, they react.
That's exactly because, for example, I'm protesting. I've told you that I'm protesting to Parliament. I'll get to Parliament, I'll get to the car park. Then you say no. Yes. You don't want me to come to Parliament.
The police have the power and the right to say no for security reasons.
What security reason? Parliament is represented by our reps.
But you cannot
do
that.
And we are not saying that we are not coming to the chamber. We are coming to the car park of Parliament. That is lawful. The car park of Parliament is meant for those gatherings.
Does the NDC realistically expect anything to change?
Why not? Because you see,
you do.
Yeah, because I believe that some of the things that I've seen, I want to believe that even if President Nana himself sits as part of the panel,
that he will give up his seat for you.
No, I'm telling you, because you see, whoever thought
that is not happening. You know that.
No, but whoever thought Malawi could ever have the court says that no, this is really fraudulent. Go and rerun it. And the opposition have won. I hope you are aware of that. Whoever thought in Kenya that the court We said, no, the evidence before us is heavy. We can't allow this injustice to continue.
You
So
have that
therefore,
kind of evidence?
Let the court start.
But you have, well, you say you still have time, so I guess we'll see,
Yes.
right? But my question is, you realistically...
Let me also admit,
Yeah.
there are people within the party that believe that, look, this is a court that is packed by the president. I mean, in our history, we've never had the Supreme Court gone beyond 15, and I would need to be educated. I mean, with all humility. As a city, I've vetted every single Supreme Court judge there. The highest we've gotten to is 15. As a March, when we're vetting the others, we took them to 19. In this country, nobody said anything. Today, 11 of the Supreme Court judges were appointed by Leonardo. And people just think this is nothing. It is. So others are of the view that, so it's not going to be a waste of time. Some of us are of the belief that democracy gets strengthened through this process. Forget about the outcome. Whether the outcome comes well for you or it doesn't go well for you, it adds to the democratic credentials of the country. It becomes precedent. If, for example, I have evidence to prove that in Techiman South, these are all the pink sheets, you add it up, it's Evans that won, not Muntaka. And the court still says that, oh, because the electoral has just declared, so let it be. It becomes a precedent. So tomorrow, if I get the electoral commission official to declare me, even when I have lost miserably, this becomes a yardstick. So I want to believe that our judges are also rational. They will have to be mindful of the consequences of whatever decision that they take, because it becomes the norm thereafter. And I want to believe that they will do the right thing. Yes, 11 of them were appointed by this president, but I want to believe that they believe that what is happening, the whole world is watching them.
Yeah.
And beyond just being a judge, there's life after that.
Yeah.
And conscience is also there. So I belong to the group.
As a leader, both in parliament and in the party, would you advise then that at the end of the process, before your 21 days expires, if the party finds enough of the evidence, they should proceed to court?
Yes, I belong to the group that keep insisting that regardless of whatever it is, let's go to court. I belong to the group, and I believe that the voice of those of us who are insisting that we should go to court is becoming louder. I mean, it's virtually, I can say, it's gradually dwarfing those who are skeptical about the composition of the court and saying that, oh, it may be a waste of time and energy. I strongly believe, and I believe that it is most likely will end up in court.
It comes down to what John Mahama wants, because it's him, right?
Yeah, obviously, because he is the lead person.
Yes.
But also remember, he was nominated by a party. And I want to believe that even if, and I always see him to, I've not seen
to be his
instances
resources
where he had vehemently disagreed with the party. There are instances where he said, oh, why can't we do it this way? The party says that, look, Your Excellency, we believe that this should be, and he has always gone with the party. I want to believe that at the end of the day, the decision will be taken in the best interest of our party, the best interest of our country, and I believe in his own best interest.
What's your confidence level in terms of if it goes to court, in terms of the outcome?
I strongly believe that the court will do the right thing.
And declare him winner?
Even if not winner, may call for a rerun of the process.
Okay.
Because, I mean, some of the evidence even is so glaring that I don't see how the court can just say,
what about
despite
this
all this
call I've heard from John Mahama that the EC should do an audit? You passed this here. There's nothing like that in it.
Yes, I agree. There's nothing like that. But you see, when you want mediation and you want solutions to problems, you come up with other things that you think
then these
will be
MPP will
right.
not allow. If you were in MPP shoes,
no,
you will allow the EC to do an audit when there's no legal backing.
It wasn't MPP that had to give the EC chair the opportunity to come back the second day to correct her figures. She did on her own.
Because she realized by herself that it was a mistake.
So if you could have that mistake, you yourself come to tell the whole country something that we've never seen, then you admit there's some error, you come to correct it. If others are telling you that, look, get independent people to audit your figures, I don't think it is far-fetched. But obviously, I want to believe, if you remember the 2012 case, they had to get an audit firm to do those audits.
But the court gave the order.
So yes, I'm saying, so I'm sure when we get to court, obviously, I expect the court to get an independent organization to do the auditing.
Okay. I want to move to the next big conversation, which is Parliament. As we wait for all these to be settled, when you go to court, if you do go to court, and they're still Techiman South, which are contesting, I'm sure that might also end up in court because the EC has already declared. But with all that addressed, if that is addressed, you have a Parliament now pending any resolution of these issues that are disputed, which is debt divided.
Yeah, sure.
137 with independent. What is your feeling knowing the next Parliament you're going to be in? Describe to me how you feel about this prospect.
The next Parliament is going to be very interesting. The next Parliament is going to be very, very interesting. And I have no doubt in my mind. It reminds me in 2009 when we came and we had, I think, just about 7 differences with our colleagues. And we had to, even with 7 differences, we had to negotiate on a number of things. Because, I mean, the Constitution says majority of your ministers will come from Parliament. Even if President decides to half his 124, his 125 to about 62, that means about 32. Even if he counts 62, 32 must come from Parliament because it's a majority. So at least it should be up by 1. So 32 will come from Parliament. And you know what it takes? The challenge we are having, ministers' attendance, they will travel. I mean, government must run. They become minority, technically. Even with 7, we were constantly on the minority. But I think that what the people of Ghana have said is beyond doubt. That look, we are tired of this, your extreme partisan consideration. We want you to talk and work together. This definitely will have to start from those in government, at least for now.
What do you think they must do?
Oh, they have to start reaching out. And you see, unfortunately for us, we've come from a parliament, the 7th parliament, that we've been bullied so heavily.
By the executive?
Yeah, I mean, talk about the speaker, you talk about the majority leader, the attitude. Oh, you can go, we have the number. I don't know how it's going to look like. If these same people are going to be there, now they say we should negotiate or we should talk, whether there can be trust.
Do you think there's good faith for that conversation to happen?
Maybe not with this crop of leaders.
Okay, so the leaders...
Because the problem was that, I mean, Evans, sometimes it's so painful. You go to a committee, and the committee, let me give you a typical one, business committee. Business committee says, no, we can't sit on Monday. The majority there picks his sheet and walk away. So we'll meet in the chamber. He comes to read the statement, and his citizen will sit on Monday. And everybody is standing around, look, business we said we will not sit. He said, well, it's for the general house to decide. And then he looks back to his members, and then even when they are disagreement, he gets it done. You come, you want to do something, virtually you will see there's no consensus. Oh, well, you can go out. You can choose to be here or choose to go away. Saturday, come. Oh, we start from Monday to Friday. You say Saturday we should come again. This is not fair. Well, you can choose to come or not to come.
And then Saturday,
and then all of a sudden the same person will come and say, oh, Evans, can we talk about this? How can you trust such a person? Trust will be a big issue. And I can bet you, I believe that both sides must have leaders that will have this country at heart.
Talking about leaders, Speaker of Parliament, it's going to be the first major decision that this hung Parliament.
Yeah.
Is it right to call it hung Parliament?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. We'll have to decide.
I mean, this thing that you just asked is funny. When I hear people say, oh, the independent guy says you work with us, so we have 138. The moment you add him to your number, there will be by-election. Just read Article 97.
Constitution is clear. He cannot join.
He can. Those who are given the window for alliance are parties. So, like, supposing PNC and at their national executive level will agree that, oh, because of this, we want to strike an alliance with MPP. So our members, you can team up together with them.
So
the Constitution
like the case of former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Freddie Blay. He represented
Yes,
the CPP, and so
and
he
they had
can
an
form an alliance.
But the independent, the constitution is very clear.
Immediately he does
The
that,
moment he does that, he vacates his seat. So I'm waiting to see the text of his letter that he'll be writing to them, how he's going to.
He said he's going to sit with them. Some people say the mere fact that he sits with them alone, it gives the MPP majority.
Well, let me see. Maybe not to preempt. He's a lawyer, but let me keep quiet and see, because that helps litigation, the content of his letter. Because he can only be join their caucus.
Okay, in voting or in doing business in the House?
In doing business. But he cannot be counted as one of them. So let's see how he coined his test, because that may help have a by-election.
So that comes back to the speaker.
Yes,
you have an equal say.
So you know the interesting thing, in this in the 8th Parliament, there will be no majority, there will be no minority.
True.
Because all 137. So the interesting thing is
so before we even go to the speaker, let's address that. Let's address that. Small matter of nomenclature.
Yeah.
Name.
Yes.
Now I call you Minority Chief Whip.
Yes.
In the next Parliament, I can't call you Minority Chief Whip, because you are not a minority.
Yes.
You're also not a majority.
Yes.
So what do I call you?
Well, you can choose to call the, if it stays so, the government whip.
Okay, an opposition whip.
An opposition whip.
Okay. So I call you
that will be
assuming you become the majority leader, not whatever. You become the leader. I call you what? Opposition leader in Parliament. Yeah. Opposition leader.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the chairman might become the
government leader.
Okay. The leader of government business.
Yes, the leader of government business, sorry. Yes.
Your standing order doesn't
yes.
have this in it.
Yes.
So if we do that, to be legal, I mean, it would be an affront to the
But
Parliament.
you see, the interesting thing is that when you look at our standing orders, Order 5 and 6 says that the Speaker will have to give ruling on these things that are not very clear. Okay. Because our standing order is very clear that the party with the majority gets the majority leader. And the other parties put together should be the minority. That's what our standing order says. So our standing order doesn't talk about, it doesn't anticipate, it couldn't have anticipated a day that will come and then we are 137. So it's silent. So maybe after electing the Speaker will use Order 5 and 6
by himself to give a ruling.
To say that.
Mustn't you rather be amending the standing order?
Yeah, that would be the ideal, to amend the standing orders. But you see, it takes time. Because there's this process currently the majority that is pursuing, well, thinking that we could do it by motion. I said no, it's going to be like a regulation, so it has to go to the 21 sitting days. Oh, in the past we've done it by a simple amendment. I said, yeah, it was wrong. If it was wrong yesterday, it cannot be right today, because it's a regulation. It's what we use in governing ourselves. So it's going to be very interesting. And I would say that from the very first day, if I were my colleagues in the majority, yes, because I mean they are not settled. We don't know how they are going.
If you're with your colleagues in government, because you are still trying to learn with the nomenclature. I should say if you're with the colleagues in majority.
That was
there's nothing like that.
For now. Okay,
I'm talking about for now.
You're talking about now. Yes, I'm talking about today.
Okay.
We'll start the talk.
Okay.
Because I believe
having the conversations begun.
No.
You just have a few days to December 7th.
Yes.
January 7th.
January 7th. Yes. And I want to believe that we should have started the conversation. Because I want to believe that, with all sincerity, we can sit and agree. How do we want this parliament to be?
The next parliament.
The next parliament, the 8th parliament. Can we agree that let's get someone that we all believe is apolitical
to be the speaker?
To be the speaker.
Is that your preference?
No, I'm just
okay. This is hypothetical.
Hypothetical, apolitical. That both parties can say, oh, if it is Evans, we are comfortable. MPP says they are also comfortable. Or no, because of the nature of all this struggle and the accusation and counter-accusation, NDC, can you propose someone that we can see whether we can work with? Or better still, NDC, yes, but you look within we MPP. Somebody that you NDC think, even though MPP, can work with. So the conversation, so that would be 3 levels. A political person that is not associated with any politics. Oh, NDC, you get somebody that we can be comfortable working with. Or NDC, look into MPP and get us an MPP person that you think you can work with. I want to believe that would be a very good starting point. But if you assume, let's keep the usual boxing. Well, there may be big surprises on that day.
Which of these three options do you personally prefer?
For me, if I were in their shoes, to be able to carry this house along, I would have gone with MPP. Can you look into NDC and pick somebody that you think
you mean NDC? Can you look into MPP?
I'm saying that if we were in their shoes,
okay,
we'll ask MPP,
okay,
look into NDC, somebody that you think you can be comfortable with, so that will allow you to pick that person as a starting point. So that it is somebody that, even though, I mean, he's one of you, but we are comfortable to work with.
In other words, bottom line,
yes, like giving up the speaker position
to the NDC, to the side.
Yes.
Okay.
So that it becomes like we've shown much goodwill that will carry the life of the parliament. Instead of take a stamp and change position. Because one of the things that I can tell you will be happening a lot in this parliament. Normal things will have to go to vote.
Yeah.
Simple things that usually we take voice vote, we'll go for secret balloting. And you know the implication. Ministers will have to run back. You have to cancel travel. A lot of government business will have to wait. Yeah. The process, because anytime you are voting, the business that should take 1 hour takes 3 hours.
Everybody has to vote.
Because
and it has to count it.
And imagine on that day, you have 4 or 5 issues that all of them have to go through.
Because we can only do one when you could have done 5.
Fortunately, our gadget now enables voting, where you can vote. How did the Commons manage this when they had themselves around this situation? They will carry all the business and defer the voting to say, every day we'll vote from 4. So from 4 to 7, we'll be voting. So from 4, then start the business. The first business, this business, is voting. People just put their thumb, it records, then it's recorded, then move. Second one.
So there's some precedent somewhere we can learn.
Yes, so the time for voting will be
But back to the point about the options you gave. Assuming they don't take any of the options and they decide to do what propose their preferred speaker, is it your view that because of the way the House is evenly split, you also necessarily must also come with it because you have an equal say with your own proposal?
You want me to tell you our strategy?
I'm just wondering. what I mean, on December 6th into 7th, when this haggle is happening, would your side propose a name?
What I will tell you is that if they decide to do what they think they want to do, we will do what we want to do.
Because both of you have equal say?
Yes.
What you want to do with what?
Well, as I say, I don't want to give my strategy out. Even though I'm not guaranteed to continue to be the whip. But you know the interesting position in the next parliament.
Tell me.
Wow.
You'll be the whip.
The whip will be very
do you still want to hold on to that position?
Oh, I mean, especially with this kind of parliament, I would love to. But I don't know what my party decides. I mean, what the group will decide. Because, I mean, 8 years of whipship.
You don't want to be the leader of the opposition instead? I mean,
whip is more powerful, especially in this kind of arrangement, because you know all discussion, all agreement, everything, all the crossing of the T and the dot of the I will have to be done by the whip.
And also, there are a few names that have come up for the speakership, and some have said that the MPP will need to put somebody there who is die-hard partisan, because who can do the dirty job in the House, because this is going to be a difficult parliament. You need a strong man. There.
Not this parliament.
Not this parliament.
If you put a hard person who can think and do dirty things, I tell you, he will get to do nothing. He will get to do nothing. Because, I mean, believe me, it will start every morning, even from vote and proceedings. He will begin to get challenged.
The final say of that.
No, he doesn't.
On a lot of things.
It is when they were having majority, I get it, when he starts it, then he has the majority to support him. This time it's hung. And because it is hung, if he starts the wrong move, the next morning there will be enough signatures for his impeachment. Then by the time you go through the process, waste a day or two, then you come back. He does another thing, you start the process of impeaching him. So you constantly...
What quality should the next speaker have then?
Be somebody who can carry both sides along. To say that, look, can the two of you, for heaven's sake, leave your partisanship? This is about the nation, our people. I want to preside. But I want all of you to come with open mind that this is good for our country, so all of us will go for it. This is bad for our country, so all of us will stop it.
Duajaho?
Why did it make me this laugh? Is that like saying,
I threw a curveball.
Is that like saying to Freddie Blay or something? Are you getting?
Yeah, but the names. Any name you have yourself?
No, I mean, well, from the other side, we keep hearing all manner of names.
There's Ayuko too. There is Papo. There's Papo Konsuma or Hackman. Hackman, I think it is. Do you have any?
I've heard Doche, Justice Doche.
Yeah, Justice. That seems to be coming up very strongly.
I've heard Justice Doche. I mean,
but he'll make a fine. He'll make a fine speaker.
Others are rooting for the incumbent speaker. I mean,
would you prefer him?
We keep hearing all manner of names. Like I said, at this stage, the only thing that can save this parliament and the 8th parliament, can save the 8th parliament, is let's talk to agree on
who the person is.
Because if you joke...
But won't you just be the person? I mean, you want somebody he's a judge, he's been thought to be neutral.
Wow, is that what you think?
But he's a judge, a Supreme Court judge. That's what judges are supposed to be, neutral. Like, if you bring that to the table.
I don't think Justice Doche is neutral.
Okay.
I don't think
what
so.
about the current? Okay, the current speaker has already been there. You know him. You don't prefer him?
Well, that's why I keep saying let's talk, because you see, the talking brings out a lot of things. Everybody pours his or her concern. We'll put our concerns on the table. Then we'll all agree. Oh, okay, because of this. Because you see, in negotiation, nothing is agreed on until everything is agreed. In negotiation, because even if we don't change the standing orders, the current standing orders will mean we have to share the committees. The chairpersons of committees, because there's no majority.
So you have co-chairs?
No, it's not co-chairs. Because we are already in the new standard orders. We are anticipating to split the committees so that those in minority will have some number of committees based on their strength in the election, and then the majority. So that we no longer use rankings. So that the chairpersons will be coming from both sides. So we are there, even before the new standard orders. Because now, if you say, oh, okay, finance committee, I say, well, I want to put down the chair. You say, no, you want to put down the chair. Why do you want to put down the chair? I mean, we have equal strength. So we have to sit and talk about all this. Then you see, it is through the talking that you say, oh, okay, we'll let go this area and have this one. Can you also let go this and have that? If you don't do that, and you think that, oh, you sit in your corner and map your strategy alone, well, the other side will also sit and map his or her strategy alone.
Thank you very much for talking to me. Possibly he might even be considered for the speakership position. Who knows?
I don't want to buy election as Aswansi. Aswansi have had a lot of trouble.
But you can become the vice, one of the two seconds.
Yeah, the deputy speaker.
You don't mind
that
one.
You don't vacate. You don't vacate.
But you don't mind those two.
No, obviously. I mean, these are all positions that I believe that
between holding on to the whip and becoming one of the vice speakers, which one do you prefer?
Oh, I prefer keeping the whip.
The whip.
Oh, the whip will be a very sweet position to keep.
Thank you very much. That's Muntaka Mubarak. Let's see what the next parliament holds for him. Enjoy the rest of your evening.